Welcome one and all to the Damage Guild, a Pathfinder 2nd edition actual play podcast. Eons ago, the gods descended to reshape our world and cleanse our warring hearts. They healed the land, stitching deep ley lines into the earth to seal their work, and created a contingent of celestial overlords known as the Wardens. Their labors completed, the gods took their leave. The Wardens, left to their own devices, proved inept. For though they were gifted with great power, power itself tempted them. Their hubris fermented war so potent as to shatter the very pillars of the earth. In the wake of their devastation, the Wardens, too, abandoned us. We are the denizens of a broken world, a world whose ancient ley lines now lie ruptured, bleeding rich veins of magic into the soil, the water, the air. In the vast, secluded Strathbourne Valley, influences from beyond our borders now threaten to throw the lives of 3 unlikely heroes into upheaval. So arm yourselves and take courage, for adventure calls, and the gods will not protect us from what threats may lie in store.
It is a crisp spring morning in the village of Fosdale. Flowers are in full bloom, fresh dew sparkling on their petals. Here and there, wispy white clouds flit across the sky, crossing over the Erdwin Mountains into the Strathbourne Valley. You've just finished eating breakfast, and as the servants clean up your plate, the steward, Navardkin, enters the room, approaches you, and bows slightly. Miss Zara, Master Dorian wishes to speak with you in his office.
Ah, yes, very well. I'll go speak to Father.
You make your way upstairs and knock on the door. A stern voice calls back, "Come in." As you push your way inside, you are greeted by the sight of your father's office. The walls are lined with impeccably organized bookshelves, an expensive rug covers the floor, and behind an elegantly carved desk covered with reams of papers, quills, and ink bottles sits your father, his figure framed in the gentle morning light of the north-facing window. He makes no motion for you to sit down, but simply looks up and waits until the door is closed before speaking. "A young man of some import has recently arrived in town. He is the scion of Lord Vanject of Chepworth. I do not know very much about him personally, but as I am certain you are aware, befriending one of his station would only help our business. I would like you to invite him here for lunch this afternoon. Even better would be if you could bring him early, show him around the grounds, and let him see the sort of people we are and the prosperity we bring to Fosdale. I have a business proposition that I believe will interest him. I hear he is currently staying at the Anves Arms."
Very well, Father. I'll go seek this Vanject fellow and speak to him and see what I can do.
Your father looks at you momentarily, gauging your expression and your willingness, nods to himself, looks down at his paperwork, and returns to scratching away at a document with his quill. "That will be all."
Okay, she kind of bows a little bit to him and leaves the room.
You make your preparations and set off to find this potential business partner for your father. You make your way first across your estate, down the hill, and south into Fosdale proper. The streets, muddy from the recent rains, make you expend far more effort than you would like to keep your dress clean. A few of the local woodsmen give you friendly nods as you pass by each other. After a short walk, you arrive at the Anves Arms, a tavern built next to the shore of the Anves River, and a frequent stop for many of the town's citizens as they swap news and socialize. It's also the only inn in Fosdale with private rooms available for guests. You enter the building and see a handful of merchants and travelers relaxing around the common room, and the proprietor, Carter McFett, a tall, lean man in his 40s, helping the waitstaff clean up the tables from breakfast.
Have I been to this establishment before?
Yes, you've been here. It's one of the few places in town where you can actually buy something to eat there.
Okay.
And it's one of the biggest places to socialize as well, so
okay.
I think pretty much everyone in town comes here. Is
it fairly upscale, or is it like a hole-in-the-wall place?
It's the nicest one in town, but this being a rather small village, it's not that upscale, but it's all right.
Okay. So she goes in and goes up to the barkeep. Yes, Mr. McFett.
Miss Ebenvale, was it?
Yes, that's correct. I'm seeking someone who's new to town. Father tells me that Van Jecht is his name. Have you seen this fellow?
Yes, I have. Mr. Van Jecht is staying upstairs.
Ah, very good. Be so kind as to summon him for me.
Certainly. So he heads upstairs. He comes back a minute later, accompanied by a man who's tall and thin with pale skin and reddish blonde hair. That's just long enough to get in his eyes, but not long enough to tie up. He's wearing the clothes of a nobleman with a rapier dangling from his belt. His bearing is proud but not arrogant.
And you can see I'm fluffing my the ruffles on my shirt collar as I come down and adjusting my sleeves, as if I wasn't expecting to be called upon.
Carter gestures towards the woman here. Says, "Yes, this is the woman who asked to speak with you. The woman before you is slight and somewhat short, with unusually gray skin and eyes, and long black hair worn up and tightly wound. She's wearing a finely embroidered dress, fancy if muddy laced boots, and various bits of jewelry. On her shoulder is a large black bird, perhaps a raven, which watches you with its piercing gaze."
Ah, greetings, my lady. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Yes, my name is Zara Ebenvale. I was sent here by my father to seek you out. Dorian Ebenvale, proprietor of Ebenvale Exports. No doubt you've heard of him.
Yes. Yes, I believe I have.
If you don't mind, please come with me and we'll go speak to him.
Certainly. Give me a moment. I must alert my footman that I will be out this afternoon. And I'll retire back to my room and go knock on the door down the hall where my footmen, Aerith and Stoke, are staying. And say I've been summoned for a business proposition to the home of the Ebenvales. And I shall be out for maybe a few hours.
Aerith answers the door when you knock, and he says, "Understood, master, but should I not accompany you?"
Well, I suppose if you must. Get ready.
I'll have Stoke remain behind and watch all of our things.
Very well. Make it quick.
Yes, sir. So Aerith quickly picks up his bag and satchel and a few other things for going around the town, and with less than a minute's notice, he is ready to accompany you.
We head downstairs, and I say, so, is there a carriage that we'll be taking back to your house, or are we expected to travel through the mud on foot?
Zara is visibly embarrassed by this. She kind of blushes and smooths out her dress a little bit, and she says, well, no, I've come here on foot. Normally I would take the carriage, one of the family carriages. But today I've decided to take a bit of a constitutional walk.
Ah, I see. Aerith, if you would be so kind as to fetch my walking boots, please, from the room upstairs. Thank you.
Certainly.
And I just wait there tapping, and I make him go all the way back upstairs, come back down, change my boots there, and then hand him my other pair of boots to then go back upstairs and put back in my room.
He does all of that without the slightest look of complaint on his face.
I see your servants are well trained.
Oh, they are. They're a bit of a nuisance, I must say, but they do what they must.
Well, one must put up with what one must.
Yes, hard to find good help these days. Well, I suppose we're due for a walk then, aren't we?
Yes, it's not a long walk from here.
Very well. Lead the way, my lady.
All right, we head out and head back to the estate.
You return to the Ebenvale estate and spend some time showing him around the grounds.
Yeah, we get up to the estate. There's a wall with a gate in it. It opens up onto the grounds, and it's not huge, but you can tell by looking at it that there's some history here. It looks like it once was not in great shape, but it's been rebuilt and refurbished over time. There's a pond and an orchard with some different fruits and stuff. Maybe a small hedge maze. No, I don't know.
I look around and sort of assess the grounds and kind of nod my head. Quaint. Yes. This will do, I suppose.
Our estate in Chepforth was much grander, I can assure you. This was simply the largest property we could buy here.
Ah, yes. I understand the constraints of the local geography. It does put a damper on things.
After you've spent an hour or two showing him everything there is to see out around the grounds, one of your servants finds you and informs you that lunch is ready.
Mr. Van Jecht, if you would, please come with me. Let's sup together.
I've worked up an appetite with all that walking, I must say.
Yes, I'm not accustomed to walking more than a few feet at a time myself.
Me neither, not without advance notice, leastwise.
Normally I have a servant carry me from one room to the next, but like I said, today I felt like getting a bit of what the peasants call exercise.
Yes. Oh, no. Do not mistake me, my lady. I'm no stranger to exercise. It's really just the mud and the general dirtiness of the streets that puts me off the most.
She has no comeback for this.
I look at the mud caked to the bottom of my boots and say, I'll have to have Aerith purchase me a new pair of walking boots upon my return.
No cleaning the old boots, just throw them away and get new ones.
Throw them away, buy new ones.
Donate them to charity. And then with a little tag pinned to the boots that say, compliments of House Vanjek.
Worn once.
Yeah.
Yes. Lightly used.
Previously enjoyed by Vanjek family.
Right.
Well, you go inside. The dining room is well lit with large windows. The table is set with fine silverware and china atop a pure white tablecloth. A servant waits near one of the doors to assist with anything that may arise. The meal consists of fresh fish, root vegetables, bread, and mild cider, all skillfully prepared and seasoned with fine herbs and spices. Dorian Ebenvale is there, along with his wife Lysandra and eldest daughter Illustra. Lysandra speaks little, but Illustra practically radiates energy, cheerfully engaging in whatever conversation arises. Mr. Vanjek, it's rare for visitors of your station to visit this sleepy village. What brings you here? How long do you expect to be in Fosdale? She asks.
My grandfather has sent me to assess the conditions in the town, to look over the buildings, the businesses, the commerce, and do a general assessment of the health and well-being of our people.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Pleased to have you here. You make small talk as you eat, discussing the current state of Chepfirth, local politics, and so on. And as the meal is drawing to a close, Dorian speaks in a more serious tone. Master Vanjek, I thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Now, if we may discuss business. It recently came to my attention that a newly discovered grove full of valuable herbs, both medicinal and edible, was found a short distance from here. I would like to establish a small facility there to harvest the herbs, but also to tend them, protect them from wild animals or monsters, and research the soil and other conditions that may have led to their growth, with the intention of expanding the growable region, such that it could supply herbs to the entire area, or even perhaps the whole valley. The reason I am telling you this is that I would like to ask for a small investment from the Vanjeks. In exchange for 5,000 silver coins up front, you would receive a share of profits from the sale of these herbs, not to mention the increase in tax revenue that would flow into your coffers from Ebenvale exports. Of course, you need not act upon my word alone. I insist that you visit the area and see its produce for yourself. My daughter Zara will accompany you.
I would certainly be willing to assess the conditions here and take a proposal back to my grandfather.
By all means, you take all the time you need to make your decision as well.
Father, nothing would make me happier than to escort this man. But you know that I do have duties here around the house. Perhaps my sister could escort him instead?
Your sister is busy this evening. She will be unable to attend to such matters as this. I trust that you would be able to make adjustments to your schedule as needed?
Yes, of course. And you can tell that she's a little bit put off by having to travel with this guy.
Feel free to take the horses. I'm sure they'll make your trip much easier.
Why, thank you.
So he gives you directions on how to get to the place of interest, and you set off. The journey is close to 2 hours, almost 2 hours by horseback. You cross the river to the west, then follow it north through the forest, and when you reach a small tributary flowing into the river, you cross that and then begin to follow it deeper into the forest, looking for the grove. A few minutes after leaving the Envis River, you spot a figure ahead, sitting on a fallen tree at the edge of a glade, seemingly deep in thought. It appears to be a dwarf, albeit an uncommonly thin one. He has short hair on the top of his head, but a long ponytail, sideburns, and beard, all braided, as well as a very curled mustache. His outfit is indicative of an outdoor lifestyle, and he wears a dagger and cudgel on his belt, with a sturdy steel shield leaning against the log next to him. He doesn't seem to have noticed your approach yet.
Pray, do you see this stranger up ahead?
Yes, I do. Allow me to ride ahead and see what his intentions may be, my lady. You ride behind Erath.
No, please, allow me. I will make sure that there's no danger here.
As a gentleman, I must insist. Please, stay with Erath here and allow me to ride ahead.
Very well.
All right, so I ride up ahead and then I turn my horse so that it's like sideways, sort of blocking between this dwarf and the lady and my servant. And I say, "Excuse me, sir. Good sir. You there?"
Oh, hey. What brings you here on that beast?
Well, I happen to be pursuing a business venture. I must say, you strike me as a dwarf who refuses to take maybe for an answer. So, I must insist that the road be cleared so that my lady and I may pass.
Well, stranger, you can have safe passage all that you like. I hope that you haven't pinned me wrong. I mean, this is but our first meeting.
Yes, well, I must insist that you step aside so that we may pass unhindered.
If I may, while you pass, and I do beg your pardon, I'm sure you're plenty busy, but I just wanted you to be on your guard. Apparently there's been some gremlins sighted nearby, and, well, if you do have the time, maybe you could help me to clear them out. I don't feel like the town is safe with these gremlins running amok. Well, maybe we could work together for a bit.
Gremlins, you say? What manner of creature might this be?
Small, fey, mischievous. I mean, you really can't trust them. I mean, some of them are pretty adorable and cute, but these surely are here for nefarious reasons, probably attracted by some of the resources of our fair town.
I look back over my shoulder and summon Erath and Lady Ebonvale to my side.
Yeah, we'll come up.
Erath, kindly go investigate this gremlin sighting with this dwarf here. He claims that there are creatures running amok in the forest, and I would like you to see what this is all about, please.
With all due respect, friend, it's kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation.
Is it that bad?
There's multiple gremlins sighted.
Erath, be so kind as to take account of these gremlins while you're investigating, please.
He looks over at the dwarf and says, "Where did you say these gremlins have been sighted?"
I could take you right to them. By foot, we don't need horses.
Aerith looks over towards the glade. Then he looks back at the two of you on the horseback. He says, "Is this not the very place that we were sent to investigate? Look at these herbs in here, this growth. Looks different from the rest of the forest." I
turn to Lady Ebonvale.
Mr. Venject, please, surely you must be weary from traveling. Why don't you sit here and rest? The three of us will go here and clear out this troublesome imp problem, and we'll come back when it's all over.
Is this the place that you've meant to take me to, my lady?
Yes, I believe so.
Ah, well, then it seems our journey is at an end, and you just so happen to be here, Mr. Dwarf.
Well, friends, if I may, you have an interest in herbs?
In a roundabout sort of way.
My interest in herbs begins and ends with their value.
Well, sure. I mean, they can fetch a good price, but we always have to be careful not to take more than what will replenish.
I see.
I could show you what I know and show you some good ones to pick if you want some advice.
What say you, Lady Ebonvale? Were you expecting to meet a person of such expertise here today?
I certainly wasn't, but, I do have a bit of schooling in plants and herbs and the like, but I suppose a little bit of extra expertise wouldn't be harmful.
You see the dwarf's eyes light up when you say that, and he comes over to you and gingerly, takes one of your hands and says, "Oh, my good woman, you know about good herbs?" There's nothing like them.
She pulls her hand away when you take it and kind of wipes it off on her dress and says, "Yes, like I said, I've studied them a bit, but perhaps you do have more expertise than me."
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that, lass, but you might want to wipe that hand off. Sorry, I had some fresh soil in my hands.
Yes, I noticed.
Sorry about that. I got caught up in the moment.
Yes, you have an air of soil about you, I must say.
Yes, I was planning to go to the river later this evening. I just was so excited about these findings, but then I heard about the gremlins, and I couldn't do nothing but go and see what the problem was.
Lady Ebonvale, if I might inquire, I'm not certain your father mentioned who it is that owns these lands. Are these lands currently in your family's possession?
Outside of the town, no one really owns the area directly. Or it would be maybe the local lords would have indirect control over the region, but it's largely unexplored wilderness, or at least unmapped, aside from the roads.
Okay.
So then these lands are technically in the dominion of my Lord Grandfather.
Through a few steps of the hierarchy.
You can see that the dwarf is like trying to hide that he's a little bit prickled by this conversation of ownership of the outside lands. But I'm trying to hide that face.
Who is your Lord Grandfather again?
My lady, I'm referring to my Lord Jasko Vanject, the Lord of Chepforth, the land in which you now reside.
Ah, I see, yes. Then I suppose these lands fall under his general jurisdiction. But what say we go and investigate this gremlin problem together? And if it is as bad as Mr. What did you say your name was again?
Oh, beg my pardon. It's Kardain, Deep Fury. And what would yours be, my lady?
Ah, yes, my name is Zara Ebenvale.
Ah, Ebenvale.
And I am Verrol of House Vanject. Pleased to meet your acquaintance, Master Dwarf.
Yes, what say we go investigate this problem together, and if it's as bad as you say, Mr. Kardain, then we will take care of it all together, and then we'll be rid of these meddlesome creatures.
Oh, that would be great. I mean, I was just going to go to the woods by myself, but there must be a reason you came when you did.
Must there, though? Really? I flourish my cape over my shoulder and dismount. Erath, kindly mind the animals. Make sure they're tied off well, and then accompany us, if you will.
Yes, sir, right away. He ties all of the horses to nearby trees.
You sure we don't have any other allies we could call on for this excursion?
Not easily. We are a few hours' ride from town, so I'm afraid we are on our own.
Well, I've brought one. He's a little bit shy, and you see that, like, behind Kardain's head, he was, like, hiding there the whole time. A little stick-like, teeny-tiny little woodling, if you will, creeps and pokes around his head and inspects you all with his little beady eyes.
Ha! I shout and point to your shoulder. Gremlin, on your back!
Wait, no, don't scare him. No, this is, in my tongue, he would be Little Root, but you can call him Braun.
Braun. Ah, I see.
You are acquainted with this creature?
Ah, yes. It's a story for maybe later, friend. We can talk about it after we deal with the problem, but you can trust him. I trust him with my very life.
Very well, I could see how you would acquaint yourself with someone so covered in dirt.
Do you say that to Kardain's face?
Yes, I do.
I try to hide a grimace of disdain.
While we're speaking of allies, I forgot to introduce. This is my raven, Mr. Crowley.
Mr. Crowley.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'd meant to ask you, but did not want to be rude. Mr. Crowley, is a spiritual guide of yours or merely a pet?
You could call him a pet. And Mr. Crowley squawks indignantly at that, bristles his feathers.
This seems like a fine team. We're going in with... I wasn't very good at math. Hang on. There's 5 of us, right? If your attendant, your friend, gets back. Verrol, was it?
I am Verrol of House Vanject, and this is my footman, Erath.
Erath, okay. Yeah, I think this is a good group. Should be able to travel lightly as 5.
Well, I cannot say that a gremlin has ever met the pointed end of my blade before, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
All right. I think we head to the grove.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Damage Guild. Pardon the brief interruption. We will get back to the adventure in just a moment. But first, this is Jay Stout, the voice of Verrol Vanject, and I am very pleased to welcome you to the start of this brand new Pathfinder 2nd Edition podcast. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are a family-friendly show, so the equivalent of a PG rating in the movies. And if you haven't noticed, we do edit rather judiciously for the sake of condensing and streamlining our gaming sessions into more easily digestible 1-hour-long episodes. We've just completed a D&D 5th edition podcast, which took place over the course of about 6 real-world years and is available everywhere fine podcasts are available. But that is a completely separate game world with different characters and a different storyline. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out, but it is by no means a requirement to understand and enjoy this campaign. All that being said, if you want to get a look behind the scenes at how we do things around here, check out our website at www.damageguild.com. Search Damage Guild on your favorite social media platform, or visit us at patreon.com/damageguild for exclusive perks, member rewards, and bonus content. And now, back to the adventure.
Kardain leads you a short distance away from the stream, through the grove, to the opposite side, where there's a somewhat rocky hill rises up. There are fewer trees here, due to the rocky soil, and this hill looks like a good vantage point to look down on the grove, and as a point of interest for the future, perhaps it would be a good place to establish whatever facilities they wanted to have here to manage the area without disrupting too much. So you climb up the hill, and you can hear what sounds like distant, muffled, high-pitched voices. You can't make out any clear words, but there's some sort of muffled voices coming from somewhere ahead on the hill, it looks like, but you don't see anything around there.
Okay.
I draw my rapier.
Yeah, could we see if we know anything about gremlins?
Sure, you can make a recall knowledge check.
Ah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. I've just heard that recall knowledge checks are like one of the most common ones you make in this game. All right, first rolls of the game.
Nice.
Now, how do we do that?
Yeah, recall. How do I recall something that I already know?
If you go to your proficiencies... Actually, I should maybe roll it, potentially, since it's supposed to be a secret check.
I wonder if some of Kardain's skills might be particularly useful at knowing stuff about... They're Fae, aren't they?
They are a variety of Fae.
Seems like something Kardain might know a little bit about.
Yeah, what languages did I pick? I might have actually picked Fae.
So that's on your main character page, the very first tab.
Oh, yeah, I have Fae. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, dude.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't pick it.
Nice. So what is recall knowledge, actually? It's not like one of the main skills.
It's to find out stuff, and like that can actually have combat implications sometimes, too, because you can learn about what they might be weak to or immune to sometimes.
But like, how is it calculated? Like, I don't have anything that says recall knowledge on my skill sheet.
It depends on what skill you're trying to recall the knowledge of. So, in this case, it will be a nature check.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Can I roll that?
I think we all can, right?
I actually am going to do this here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's fun. There's lots of secret rolling in Pathfinder, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, like, I feel like for like traps and stuff, that's like a key time to be secretive.
So, Verrol and Kardain, you know a little bit about gremlins. With your general knowledge, you understand that there are many different varieties of them. They're generally small, vaguely humanoid, but often with some animal parts to them. They're very mischievous, and depending on what type it is, they might be more inclined to ruin things in different ways, basically. But without actually seeing any and knowing what particular types of gremlins you're up against, you can't get a whole lot more detail than that.
Okay, so maybe once we get a visual on one, we could try again, but using actions.
Yeah, to see which one it might be specifically.
Yeah, they're a pesky little group, aren't they, Verrol?
I seem to recall learning about something related, perhaps, in a lesson a long time ago, but I must admit I do not recall very much.
What do you think about gremlins, Zara?
I don't know much about them, apparently. I think my roll is not very good.
Don't count yourself out, lass.
I'm having a bit of an off day. Normally I'm super knowledgeable about these kinds of things.
I'm sure you'll prove useful in this encounter.
So, you make your way towards the noise, or what?
Yeah. Do we want to try to sneak up on them?
That's a no-go for me.
Oh, yeah?
I'm wearing a type of armor that would give me away, but you guys could sneak.
Okay, well, we can try, right? We can try to sneak up on them?
So this is technically just rules question. This is explore mode. So couldn't each of us dictate a particular skill and say, hey, like, I'm doing X? Like, couldn't I say that Kardain is, like, using his survival skill and, like, looking for tracks right now? Maybe, like, for a good way to enter the forest?
Yeah, if that's what you want to be doing. Each of you can basically do one thing during exploration mode. That's your focus. So if you want it to be sneaking, then that's what you're doing without regard for looking for tracks or safety or whatever.
Okay.
Or you can be, if you have your shield, you could be on guard, so your shield is always raised if battle starts, stuff like that.
This is actually probably something that Kardain is already used to doing, just his fighting style. I'm probably going to, and you guys won't hear it, but I'm going to whisper something to Braun, and he kind of, looks at me, and I look at him with kind of a loving glance, and then I gently set him down from my shoulder to the ground, and he looks back at me and nods. And then he starts to scurry off into the forest, kind of like crouched-like. And I'm going to have Braun use his stealth as his exploration activity.
That's a great visual.
I feel like he's pretty, like, naturally camouflaged, just the way that he looks, kind of like the little mossy branch body that he has.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so he's just going to go ahead of you sneakily?
Yeah.
I will also be stealthing.
Yeah, I'll stealth.
And I instruct Arath to do the same.
Are you guys going to draft behind Braun? Or are you kind of making your own way?
We'll make our... Is Braun, like, going into, like, the undergrowth? Because I think we should sort of stay in the clearing. I don't want to get my cape tangled up in a thorn bush.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that Braun is no stranger to dirt. I mean, he loves it. So I bet that... I'm not saying he has a burrowing speed, but I bet he's just, like... loving all of this underbrush.
Yeah, he's getting in there. Yeah, so I want to try to stay in a clearing, like if space between trees.
Yeah, same here.
But he's very natural on the forest floor, the way that he's moving and barely disturbing a leaf.
Yeah,
and I'll lean back to Arath before we start stealthing, and I'll say, Arath, should fighting break out and the worst happen, see yourself safely home. Make sure the lady is looked after. Don't mind so much about the dwarf.
Understood, my lord.
Even though I'm bad at stealth, should I just stealth anyway instead of survival? I don't want to be too far away from Braun, like too far away to like give him instructions.
Well, it's up to you.
I mean, can you do survival as a potential initiative check? Like, would that even make sense for Kardain, or am I just going to be too far behind the rest of the party to be useful?
Well, if you're trying to follow tracks, it would make sense for you to be near the front.
Yeah, I'm letting you lead the way. I'm stealthing and I'm going very slowly, and I'm probably not gonna like overtake you and charge in because I don't really know very much about these creatures of the situation. Whereas I figure you've laid eyes on them, so I'm gonna let you maintain the lead.
So all that your armor does is it gives you a -2 to your stealth checks. It's not nearly as bad as disadvantage in this edition.
Yeah. Okay, I did not take stealth, though. What about nature? That's not really an exploration thing here. Okay, I'll survival, and I will be looking for gremlin tracks, and I'm going to try to... Like, if I see tracks, I'm not going to follow them directly. I'm going to follow them from a distance, like, kind of using my knowledge of just, like, okay, that's going that way. I'm gonna flank with using some of these trees.
Cool.
So maybe I'm not taking as direct a path as Braun or Verrol and his buddy, but I'm coming around. Yeah, I'm coming around the mountain when she comes.
All right, so I get an 18 on my stealth check.
Jay, you have an armor check penalty.
Me?
Yeah, I just saw it in chat.
Oh yes. Yep, looks that way.
Are you wearing some super spicy armor?
That's already taken into account in my skill bonus. So
it's only a -1.
I mean, no, I'm just wearing studded leather.
Does that make you... Oh, I'm just kidding. You got it.
Oh, that's because you don't meet the strength requirement for studded leather armor.
Okay.
I was unaware that there was a strength requirement.
So, Thane, you, like, right before the week leading up to this, you worked with me a lot to get me into different armor. Originally, guys, I was going to be wearing a wooden breastplate because I just thought that would, like, really fit the aesthetic of Kardain, but it, like, totally jacked up my ability scores to do that. Or not totally, but it was just like more dexterity than I really need for this build.
Okay.
from Thane's advice. I mean, would you, rule of cool, like help him into a different type of armor?
I think regular leather would probably be better for you. You do lose... Actually, you lose nothing because the dex cap...
It has a higher, dexterity threshold, so like you're more like dodgy in leather if you're a high dex character versus like a character like me.
So leather is just the better one for you?
Yeah.
I'll just swap you into that right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the two and didn't see much besides the higher dex cap on leather, but I figured it was all the same.
And what about Zara?
Zara is wearing no armor.
Well, you're wearing...
wearing explorer's clothing.
That is armor.
Is it? Okay.
So you changed out of your dress before this?
Well, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, mechanically I have explorer's clothing in my inventory. So if I knew that I'd be traveling outside of the town, I'd put on my explorer's clothing.
Maybe she just has like one of those like shawls that like goes over that's all fancy, but like she leaves it on the horse and now she's like ready. You're seeing a whole nother side of the daughter.
So do you want to describe your new outfit since it's different?
Yeah, it's dependable, dark leather, sturdy leather boots. She still has all her like trinkets and jewelry and stuff, but then she like also lets her hair down too. She's not as worried about seeming like high and proper. She's out here in the wild, so she's ready to travel.
Okay.
Well, the court's not here to observe, right? None of your people are here, so you can kind of like let loose.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like you're wearing no armor. You have armor, Brian.
Well, no.
Explorer's clothing says unarmored as one of the tags.
Mm-hmm. The proficiency bonus applies, but there's no actual armor.
Right.
Okay.
Survival? Will I make a survival check? Stealing Jay's pronunciation.
Well, either way, I know the roll is supposed to be secret.
Okay.
Sean privately rolled some dice. It happened.
I just rolled mine.
Well, first things first. Kardain, you get off ahead of the group a little bit and start looking around for some tracks. And you do actually find some not quite animal tracks, but something small moving through the underbrush and going up the hill. So you start following that. The others are sneaking along behind you.
Okay.
So you're climbing up the hill, you're following these tracks that you found. And as you get back towards the far side of this rocky clearing and closer to the woods again, you see that the tracks seem to disappear. There's a small cluster of them in one area, but they're not heading anywhere else past that point.
Do we still hear the voices?
You can still faintly hear the voices, and it sounds like they're coming from around that same area where the tracks stopped. But it's still muffled, like they're not right there.
I look up in the trees.
Can I like do a hand signal to the other party members?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do it in common.
One of them's looking at the trees right now.
I was about to say, I'm afraid I don't understand dwarven hand signals.
No, I stopped doing it in Dwarvish and I start doing it in common. Sorry, I got my sign language mixed up. I'm like signing all that to Verrol, like apologizing for the dialect issue.
I mean, you can do basic gestures and stuff, but...
Yeah, well, I'm going to gesture to the weapons on my waist, and I'm going to get my shield ready. And I think Verrol will understand.
Yeah, I've had my rapier drawn since we first heard the voices.
Okay, well, anybody that wasn't ready, I gesture that they should get ready.
Okay, so you pull out your shield. You pull out your club, too.
No, actually, I want my other hand to have a particular scroll.
Okay. So, you don't see anything up in the trees, at least nothing unusual. You're still hearing these noises. It's a little bit louder now that you're closer here, but you can't tell really where it's coming from.
Kardain gives a gentle nod to Braun, and Braun nods back at Kardain and then steps over towards some other bushes or small saplings, and he sticks his little feet in the ground and puts his arms out and begins to change a little. His eyes disappear, different foliage garbs his form, and he looks like just this little mossy tree sapling.
A little sapling? Wow.
Oh.
That's amazing.
That's quite a talent your little friend has over there.
He blends in perfectly with the other shrubs around him.
Perfectly still, swaying in the slight wind.
That's great. So, is it the kind of thing where we could make perception checks to try to figure out where these things are?
Yeah, you could make checks Well, again, it's supposed to be, I think, secret because you don't know if there's anything to find in the first place.
But we can assume because we can hear the voices, right? And we see the tracks.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to know if you succeeded and there's nothing that you see, or if you failed and there's nothing that you see, you know.
I'll be a little bold. I want Kardain to try to glean a little bit more information from these tracks he's found. I realize that might expose him a little bit, but I'm going to have him come a little closer and inspect the tracks.
All right. Verrol and Zara, you're looking around the area trying to find any signs of them, but you don't see any movement or any creatures nearby. Kardain, you move up closer to the tracks, and when you get there, there seems to be an unnaturally straight line in the dirt. That is where these tracks end.
Unnaturally straight. I mean, I notice when something's unnatural.
Do you say anything to us?
I give you concerned glances because I don't want to break the silence. And some more sign language that you apparently don't understand.
What is it? What's wrong? Where are they?
I'll look in the direction where I think that these tracks are leading me.
Which is...
Where do you think it is?
Can I point to the unnatural straight line and see if they can see it from where they are?
Yeah, so it's like the tracks are moving forward, and then there's a little bit of a grouping of them, and at the end of this grouping, there's a perpendicular line that cuts across the tracks.
Oh man, is that like where a portal was to the Feyworld or something?
Huh.
Which way are the tracks going? Towards the line or away from it?
They're mostly going towards it. It looks like this is a relatively well-used pathway, so most recent tracks are heading towards the line.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, they're Fey, they're gremlins. Like, they can, like, do some teleportation stuffs, can't they?
Probably, yeah. So, but how do we... What do we do with that?
Wait a minute. I want to switch my exploration. I want to try to inspect the line with nature and see if I can detect something primally magic about that line.
Detecting magic?
Oh, I don't have the detect magic cantrip prepared.
Yeah, I know it, but don't have it prepared.
You should always have detect magic prepared if you have it. One of the most generally useful spells.
No, wait, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did prepare detect magic, so I'll cast that.
Okay.
Does he have to be close? What's the distance?
It's a 30-foot range. It does not detect through walls or other barriers. And so that we are all aware now and moving forward, casting any spell without the subtle trait requires speaking in a distinctly loud voice.
Okay.
Clearly and basically breaking any stealth that you have.
Okay. All right, well, in that case, we'll huddle together and I'll kind of like whisper to them and say, if we want, I can cast detect magic to see if there's a portal here.
Yeah, it might be worth it because the tracks I'm whispering. Yeah, the tracks just end. I don't know how else to explain it besides magic.
Magic. Very well. I shall cast a spell to see if I can detect any portals here.
Why don't we be on our guard, everybody else, like, ready?
Detect magic works a little differently in this game than you're probably used to. Basically just, is there anything magical within 30 feet? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's all you get.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of how I remember it.
With the ability to rule out stuff that you already know of. So if I know someone else has magic armor, I can choose to ignore that, essentially.
So it's just a radar sweep of your immediate 30-foot area.
Yeah. Beep. Beep. Beep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you cast detect magic, and you don't detect anything.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't detect any magic nearby. Perhaps it's not a portal, but they've all chosen to teleport away from this exact spot? Could they be invisible? Wouldn't they have seen us by now?
Maybe they have some sort of capability to hide their tracks, whether physically or magically.
And do we hear them still? Or does it seem like they've faded? Their voices have faded.
There are pauses now and then for 20 or 30 seconds at a time, but then they start muffled shouting.
All right. Well, Verrol is growing impatient, so I go over to where the line of tracks ends and look at it.
Okay. You see the same thing that I described.
I try, like, kicking across the line and, like, stepping in the mud or in the dirt.
Do you step across past the tracks?
Yes.
All right.
I put a foot across the line into the dirt.
Okay, you step across with 1 foot, and nothing happens.
But I still hear them. Can I hear them better now than I could when I was standing back?
Yeah, it sounds like they're closer now than before.
Ah.
If anything, it sounds like it's coming from below you.
Huh.
Oh, below?
Below us.
Like in the ground?
Well, the ground is below you.
Yes. Could it be that they're burrower?
What is this large, flat thing below me? Must be the ground.
Kardain is going to continue to rely on survival, and I'm going to put my dwarvish ear to the ground and try to glean what I can.
I will stab into the ground with my rapier, but not where the dwarf is.
Could it be that this is a burrowing variety of gremlin? It's very pesky. I mean, they'd ruin your garden.
As you thrust the sword into the ground, you feel the ground shift and fall out from under it.
Oh no.
Out from underneath you. The other two might be far enough back. Zara's probably not there, but Kardain, if you were listening past the tracks at all, which is where it's loudest, then you would have also been caught in this.
Oh. No, I don't think I would overcommit. I would probably just, wherever I was, drop down and try to listen.
Well, Verrol, at least, you stab into the ground, the extra pressure causes it to open out underneath you, and you start to fall.
Whoa.
You can attempt to grab the ledge, as long as you have a hand free.
Certainly.
Make a reflex save, I take it?
Well, I am an expert at reflex saves.
It's acrobatics check or reflex save, whichever you want.
We're going to go with reflex save. Low roll, but decent result. Got a 14.
That is, unfortunately, barely not enough.
Oh.
Yikes.
Can anybody else do anything?
I don't think you get any reactions to that.
Oh, no.
Probably not.
So you try to reach out with your other hand and grab the ledge, but you don't quite grab purchase, and it slips off over the edge, and you fall down. Fortunately, this is not a long drop. Instead, it opens out onto a chute. So you hit slippery dirt and rock slope, which catches you somewhat, and then you wind down a short ways and land at the bottom. Roughed up, but not actually hurt.
Like a slide?
Yeah.
Like a dirt slide?
Verrol, no.
Oh, you found the entrance. Very well done, Verrol, Kardain says down the slide.
I grope around for my rapier and I grab it, stand up and dust myself off, and then I start waving it around. Have at thee, knaves! Where are you?
This noise of whatever voices you were hearing has stopped since the trapdoor was opened.
Come out and show yourselves.
Your voice echoes back.
I turn to Kardain and say, well, I believe that's all we can do here. Let's head back and report back to my father.
Erath!
Yes, sir.
Throw down a rope, please, if you would.
Certainly, sir. I can't actually see you.
Well, I am down here, so if you throw a rope down, I'll find it.
I think we'll need something heavy at the end of the rope. It's not going down the slide.
Beg pardon?
Wait just a moment. I'll need to find something to tie to the end of this rope to have it fall down the slide with you.
Very well. There's a perfectly good dwarf up there.
Real quick, Thane, this is a rules question. If Braun is really far away from me, do I lose some of his benefits as a familiar? Should I, go back to the woods and grab him? Assure him that everything's all right?
His abilities stay. You don't lose any of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the standard familiar ability of empathic connection is up to a mile, so you shouldn't lose that.
Does Braun have... Can I see him? Could he see this hole in the ground from where he is planted himself?
Yeah, he's close enough to see it.
Okay. I'm not going to have him leave his form, but maybe I run over and I'll have a little chat with him and let him know, just for him to keep on the lookout. I guess I wouldn't want him to give chase, but I just want him to watch if anybody enters or leaves the cave that isn't us.
Okay.
All right. He doesn't nod because he's a tree, but I trust that he heard me. I have a climbing kit. There's got to be something here. There's a hammer. I could tie a hammer to the end of the rope.
Tie it off around a tree. There's plenty of those around. What is it, a 50-foot rope?
You've got a grappling hook, you've got trees around to tie it to. If you want to throw something heavy down to pull him out, I don't see anything particularly heavy in that kit either.
Ooh, why don't we... I know it's a little more cumbersome, but... Because you said this was a slide. What if we set up the climbing kit pulley stuff? Using the trees... whatever... It's 50 feet of rope with pulleys. Whatever I need to, rig it so that we can go down more safely or even back up.
Okay. So you can set your rope here and basically let it down and climb down along with it.
Yeah, Verrol, hold on, friend.
Verrol, you are pretty much in the dark. There's a little bit of reflected light coming back down through the tunnel behind you, but you can't see much of anything down here.
All right,
Are you a human, Verrol?
Yes.
There's always one. There's always one in the party who doesn't have dark vision. Never fails.
Since it's taking kind of a while for them to figure stuff out, I'll grab the flint and steel and the torch out of my backpack and light it up.
Okay.
Ooh, we go into a new map?
I think so.
Oh.
First map change of the campaign.
What?
New mapperoonie.
But before we go through with this map change, we have a royal decree to share with you. Now, if you're wondering what a royal decree is, it's a message you send to a friend, loved one, or arch rival to be read aloud during our show before all the loyal subjects of DGP Nation. You can issue a royal decree by visiting thedamageguild.com/decree. The price is reasonable, and it's a great way to celebrate a birthday or other milestone, or simply to make your rivals jealous because of how awesome you are. Today's royal decree comes to us from Christian Lee Hayes, and it's dedicated to Damon Hayes. Christian says, Happy 30th birthday to my favoritist favorite. I just want to say thank you for all you've done this last year for me and our family. I wouldn't be alive today without you. I love you so much. I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I'm so lucky and grateful. You are the best partner I could ever ask for. I've had such a special first year of marriage with you. I can't wait for what's to come. I know we're going to be great as long as we have each other. Love you, always. Well, thank you, Christian, for that heartwarming message. And to Damon, happy birthday and welcome to your 30s. I wish you both many years of continued happiness. Marriage is a wonderful thing, and I'm so happy that you have both found each other, and it's awesome and amazing to hear. All the best to you both. Again, happy birthday, Damon. And with that, back to our show.
So you have rapier in one hand, torch in the other.
Yes.
And you're looking around you. This looks like probably a natural cave. Very rocky, but not like solid rock around, so there's a lot of dirt and roots and things that are holding it in place. About 10 to 15 feet wide here, extends around a bend and out of sight.
I'm not trying to milk the climbing kit, I assure you. I feel like I could rig something that would let us more easily get back up and down.
I mean, what are climbing kits for, right?
Yeah, I could use some pittons, like if I need to like get the pulley into the ground, make it more steady so that I can run the rope over the pulley.
Yeah, certainly.
If you just throw the rope onto the edge of this ramp, it'll go down a little ways, but it's not going to slide down to the bottom because it's...
Right. I mean, I could put the grappling hook at the end of the rope to give it weightedness, and I guess if we need to haul something up, like, let's say, an unconscious party member. Yeah, I'm not actually trying to rescue Verrol. I think I want to go down there with him. What do you say, Zara?
Yes, I was hoping not to get my travel clothing soiled today, but I suppose if we must, we should go help this Verrol fellow out.
Excuse me, while you're preparing to come down here, it looks like there's a tunnel of sorts.
Perhaps this is where the gremlins have been hiding.
There we are.
Perhaps this may not be a dead end after all.
My wife and I are listening to the Wingfeather Saga series.
Oh, cool.
Listening to it?
On audiobook.
Oh, okay. I'm reading the first book with my son, and we've been watching the show on Angel Studios.
Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, it's great. So, like, anytime, instead of saying there we are, we always say ere we are.
There we are, yeah.
There's your joke, listener. If you haven't checked out that series,
yeah, very good.
It's a good one, especially if you have like children. It's a good listen with or watch.
For sure.
I'll have to check that out.
They just released season 2 for Guild subscribers on Angel Studios, and it actually comes out for wide release later this summer, I think.
Nice. I was already a fan of Andrew Peterson's music, and I've been meaning to check out the series.
Yeah, it's good.
You set up your rope, and you start climbing down?
Yeah, if it's all rigged proper so that we could use it to get back up, I think we should descend.
All right.
You first, Master Dwarf. I suppose you're accustomed to crawling around in these kinds of tunnels?
Yes, I do have a lot of tunnel experience.
You can see in the dark, then?
Oh, I see pretty great, actually. I mean, there's a lack of color. Certainly no change to you in the dark.
Yes, that's true. I'm just as black and gray as always.
Naturals and neutrals are actually a really nice color palette for clothing. I could take a point from you. This brown and green is a bit earthy, wouldn't you say?
It is, but I'm learning to look past it.
Like Kardain has scratches his head wondering if that was an insult. But he pays it no mind. We have to find our friend.
Well, don't go too far, but yes, let's go find this person.
Aerith calls down after you and says, Sir, would you like me to come as well, or should I stay up here and watch the horses?
Why don't you stay up there? It may be a bit too treacherous for you to venture down here. Mind the rope, will you?
Yes, sir, very good.
Yeah, he won't be alone, Verrol. My man's up there.
Do take care.
Oh, yes, indeed. And if I'm not back in an hour, keep waiting.
It's just like the sun starts to come up and he's thinking to himself, I'm still waiting for you, sir. They don't pay me enough for this. And he's like, I wish I had a warm bed right now.
3 days later, he's just starving up there to death. He's like, surely my master will return soon.
They're so loyal to a fault.
Yes, the servants often are.
I've been wanting to say this the whole time, but I just can't hold it in any longer, and I feel like Kardain's the perfect character to ask a question like this. You two, you seem like gentry, like you belong to some sort of estate, huh?
I do not know from what land you hail, dwarf, but my family holds dominion over this and all lands in the Strathbourne Valley.
I hate to tell you this, but no one owns any land.
Not the entire Strathbourne Valley, probably half of it.
My family holds dominion over half of the Strathbourne Valley, I'll have you know. Over 50% at last count. 53%, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a majority.
Mr. Van Gecht, if I may.
Van Gecht, if you will.
Excuse me. So, Sir Van Gecht, civilizations come and civilizations crumble. I think you should be careful to ascribe such ownership to the earth around you.
Yes, and this civilization has yet to crumble. So, for the time being, the dominion of these lands belongs to my grandfather.
Well, I know something about the crumbling.
I have no doubt that you do.
You may have settled the land and on the land, but we are owned by the land. And yet, when last I checked my sundial, we were hunting gremlins, so let us move on with the task at hand, if you please. Yes, let's. We can enjoy more diatribes later. I quite enjoy these sorts of conversations. Lead the way, please, Master Dwarf. Oh, yes. I can see and stuff. Yes, indeed. What's a good explore activity for a cave? I'm going to continue to survive. I'll stealth.
I will stealth as well. I think I'll use occultism. No, I will stealth. Can we keep walking down these tunnels?
So you make your way down the tunnel as quietly as you can. After a short distance, the tunnel continues on past a bend, but another room also opens up to your right.
As we're walking, Verrol says, as dank and dark as it is down here, I must say it's the first time in days I've been out of earshot or eyeshot from my 2 footmen.
Are you beholden to them?
I treat them as servants, but in truth my grandfather sends them along to look after me, to make sure I don't get into trouble or make a nuisance of myself.
My father trusts me implicitly to handle matters on my own, so I have no need of such thing.
Well, must be nice. My grandfather trusts me about as far as he can throw me, and at his age, that's not nearly even across the room.
So, if I may inquire, Verrol, does that mean you're not half as spoiled as it seemed like you were back there?
Well, let me put it this way. My grandfather often says, I'd disown you, but you're the only heir I've got left.
Oh, so the inheritance, huh?
More the training to become what he believes will be the downfall of this family, but by then he'll be long gone, so he can only attempt to do his best with me.
Hey, every family has expectations.
Mine more so than others, I regret to say. But enough. Let us proceed.
Okay, we keep walking down the tunnel.
This way. Looks like there's a fork in the road, and Kardain bends down and picks it up.
Put that fork back. You don't know who's eating off of that thing.
Yeah, it's true. It could be filthy. That's never bothered me before.
As you reach where the room splits off to the side, you suddenly see a large toad-like creature making its way towards you out of the shadows.
Oh.
Is it like sauntering or hopping?
It is standing upon its hind legs and waddling.
Whoa.
Oh.
In a very strange manner. It has a very odd-looking grin on its face and 2 tongues that splay out in both directions.
What?
It seems to have noticed you and taken an interest and is about to run towards Kardain. Everyone, roll initiative.
Oh, the first inish
my.
of the camp. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, and we're doing it Pathfinder style.